If your pepper plants look fine on planting day, but then just sit there for 2 weeks doing absolutely nothing, this may be the reason. You might be planting peppers the same way you plant tomatoes, and that one habit can slow peppers down badly. Tomatoes are forgiving. If you bury part of the stem, they can often grow extra roots from it. That is why many gardeners plant tomato seedlings deep, pinch off the lower leaves, and bury the stem almost up to the top. With tomatoes, that can work beautifully. With peppers, it is a different story. Today, I want to walk you through the right way to transplant pepper seedlings into the garden, a raised bed, or a greenhouse. We will talk about how deep to plant them, what to put in the planting hole, how to protect the roots, how to water after planting, and how to help peppers recover quickly instead of stalling out. The most common mistake is simple. A gardener takes a pepper seedling out of the pot, shakes off some soil, loosens the roots, digs a deep hole, and buries the plant almost like a tomato. At first, it seems logical. More stem underground should mean more roots, right? But peppers do not respond the same way tomatoes do. By the time pepper seedlings are ready to go outside, the lower part of the stem has often started to toughen up. Unlike tomatoes, pepper stems do not easily produce new roots, especially once the plant is more mature. If that tough lower stem is buried too deeply in damp soil, it can stay too wet, get too little air, and become more vulnerable to rot. And if you also break apart the root ball, tearing the tiny feeder roots, the plant gets hit with stress from both sides. What happens next? The peppers are planted, they are watered, maybe they even get fertilizer, but they do not grow. 1 week passes, then another. The leaves may turn pale, some lower leaves may drop. The plant looks alive, but it is not moving. A lot of gardeners blame the fertilizer, the weather, or the variety. Sometimes those things matter, but very often the problem is much simpler. The pepper was planted too deep, and the roots were disturbed too much. So here is the main rule. Transplant peppers by keeping the root ball intact and plant them at about the same depth they were growing in the pot. Peppers do not like rough handling. A tomato plant can often bounce back after having its roots loosened, trimmed, or buried deep. A pepper plant is more cautious. Its root system is sensitive, and the fine feeder roots are easy to damage. Those tiny roots are the ones that take up water and nutrients. So when you plant peppers, the goal is not to pull the roots apart. The goal is to move the whole root ball into the garden with as little damage as possible. The less you disturb the roots, the faster the plant settles in. Now let us talk about timing, because this is a big one in the United States. Do not rush peppers into cold soil. In many parts of the country, especially the Northeast, the Upper Midwest, the Great Lakes region, and mountain areas, spring can fool you. The air may feel warm in the afternoon. A greenhouse or hoop house may heat up fast, but the soil can still be cold several inches down. Peppers care about the soil temperature around their roots. As a general rule, pepper roots want soil that is at least around 60 degrees Fahrenheit. They are much happier when the soil is closer to 65 degrees Fahrenheit or warmer. Do not judge by touching the surface with your hand. The top inch can feel warm while the root zone is still chilly. Use a soil thermometer if you have one. Push it into the soil at the depth where the roots will sit and leave it there for several minutes. If the soil is too cold, peppers slow down right after transplanting. Their roots do not work well. They struggle to take up nutrients, especially phosphorus. The plant may look stuck, even if the weather above ground seems nice. How can you warm the bed faster? A few days before planting, cover the bed with black plastic, landscape fabric, or another dark material. This helps the soil absorb heat. Raised beds also warm faster than in-ground beds, which is helpful in cooler spring climates. You can water the planting holes with warm water, but do not rely on that as the main solution. Warm water gives only a short boost. The bed itself still needs to be warm. And never pour boiling water into the planting hole right before transplanting. The roots need warm, comfortable soil, not hot soil. In the South, Southwest, and parts of California, the problem can be the opposite. The soil may warm up early, but the sun and wind can be harsh. In those areas, peppers may need protection from afternoon sun for a few days after transplanting. Before planting, harden off your seedlings. Peppers that were grown indoors or in a protected nursery space are used to easy conditions: no wind, soft light, steady temperature. Then suddenly they are outside in direct sun, moving air, and cooler nights. That shock can set them back. Start hardening peppers off about a week before planting. Put them outside for 1 or 2 hours at first in a sheltered spot. Then gradually increase the time each day. During the first few days, protect them from strong sun and cold wind. By transplanting day, the plants should already be familiar with outdoor conditions. You do not want their first real sun and wind exposure to happen on the same day they are moved into the garden. Now let us prepare the planting hole. The hole for a pepper plant does not need to be huge or extra deep. Use the size of the pot as your guide. Make the hole just a little wider and a little deeper than the root ball. You only need a small amount of extra space for loose soil and a gentle nutrient layer. What should you add to the hole? In a perfect world, you would start with a soil test. In the United States, many county extension offices offer soil testing, and it is worth doing if you garden every year. But I know most home gardeners want a practical answer they can use right away. So here is a safe, basic approach. Add 1 or 2 handfuls of finished compost or worm castings. Only use compost that is fully broken down and smells earthy. Do not use fresh manure, fresh chicken manure, or half-rotted material that still smells sharp or sour. That can burn young roots and create problems. You can also add a small amount of wood ash, but be careful. Wood ash contains potassium and trace minerals, but it also raises soil pH. In many parts of the western United States, soils are already alkaline. If you garden in places like Arizona, Nevada, New Mexico, Utah, parts of Colorado, or inland California, be especially cautious with ash. If you use it, use only a small sprinkle, about a tablespoon per plant, and mix it thoroughly with the soil. Never place a pile of ash directly under the roots. And only use ash from clean, untreated wood. Do not use ash from charcoal briquettes, painted wood, pressure-treated lumber, trash, or anything with chemicals. What about phosphorus? If your soil is poor, you can add a small amount of a gentle starter fertilizer, bone meal, or another phosphorus source. But do not overdo it. More is not better. Whatever you add, mix it into the soil at the bottom of the hole. Pepper roots should not touch concentrated fertilizer directly. The goal is not to feed the plant heavily on day 1. The goal is to give it a soft landing. With peppers, it is better to start gently than to burn tender roots. Now comes the most important part: removing the seedling from the pot. A common mistake is watering the seedling heavily right before planting. When the potting mix is soaking wet, the root ball becomes heavy and may fall apart when you remove it. But you do not want it bone dry either. The ideal root ball is lightly moist. It holds together, but it is not dripping wet. If the seedling is too dry, water it earlier in the day or the day before. Just do not turn the pot into mud right before transplanting. To remove the plant, gently squeeze the sides of the pot. Place your hand over the top of the soil with the stem between your fingers. Turn the pot upside down and let the root ball slide out. Do not pull the plant by the stem. Do not shake the roots. Do not comb out the bottom. Do not remove the old potting mix. The pepper should move into the garden with its root ball intact. Set it into the hole carefully and keep it upright. Now, how deep should you plant it? The best rule is simple. The soil level in the pot should match the soil level in the garden bed. Plant the pepper at the same depth it was already growing. Do not bury the stem up to the seed leaves. Do not plant it deep for extra strength. Do not use the tomato method. If the seedling is slightly stretched, you can bury it just a little deeper, maybe about 1 inch. But only do this if the lower stem is still green and tender, and the soil is warm and well drained. If the lower stem is already tough and woody, do not risk it. After the root ball is in place, fill around it with loose soil and press gently around the edges. Do not mash the root ball hard. Also, do not leave a deep bowl around the stem. A deep depression can collect water, and when it dries, it can form a hard crust. That is not good for the crown of the pepper plant. Keep the bed surface mostly level. If you want a watering ring, make it a little away from the stem, not right against it. After planting, water the pepper in. Use warm water if you can, not hot water, just comfortably warm. Around room temperature is fine. Avoid ice-cold water straight from a well or hose, especially on a cool spring day. Freshly transplanted peppers are already under stress, and cold water can add to it. Water gently around the plant, not with a hard stream right at the stem. Aim the water a few inches away from the plant so it soaks the soil around the root ball. This helps settle the soil, removes air pockets, and encourages the roots to connect with the surrounding bed. After watering, check whether the soil has settled. If it has, add a little loose soil around the plant, but do not bury the stem deeper. Now let us talk about mulch. Mulch can be very helpful for peppers. It holds moisture, prevents soil crusting, keeps the root zone more stable, and reduces weeds. You can use straw, dried grass clippings, shredded leaves, compost, or other clean organic mulch. But timing matters. If your soil is still cool in spring, do not put down a thick layer of mulch right away. A heavy layer of straw or leaves can keep the soil from warming. In cooler regions, let the bed warm first. Once the soil is warm and the peppers are growing, mulch is a great idea. In hot climates, mulch can be useful earlier because it protects roots from extreme heat and helps hold moisture. When you mulch, keep it loose around the plant. Do not pile it against the stem. Leave a small open space so the stem can breathe and stay dry. What if the leaves droop after transplanting? This is very common. The next day, your peppers may look sad. The leaves hang down, the plant looks limp. And the first reaction is to water again. But do not rush. If you watered well at planting time and the soil is still moist, the problem may not be lack of water. The roots are simply not working at full strength yet, while the leaves are already losing moisture to sun and wind. Adding more water can make things worse if the soil becomes soggy. Pepper roots need air as much as they need moisture. Instead, give the plant shade. For the first few days, use light shade cloth, row cover, a garden hoop with fabric, or even a temporary screen on the sunny side. This is especially important if you plant during bright, windy, or hot weather. In the south and southwest, afternoon shade for newly transplanted peppers can make a big difference. In cooler northern areas, you may only need protection on sunny or windy days. Usually, after a few days, the plant stands back up and starts adjusting. What about transplant shock products? You can use them, but keep your expectations realistic. A mild seaweed product, kelp extract, diluted fish fertilizer, humic acid product, or gentle transplant solution may help support the plant. But none of these replace the basics. They will not fix cold soil. They will not fix damaged roots. They will not fix planting too deep. They will not fix overwatering. Think of them as extra support, not a rescue plan. If you use a foliar spray, apply it in the evening or on a cloudy day. Do not spray peppers in strong sun. Water droplets and certain products can increase leaf burn, and the spray may not work as well. So let us sum it up. Do not plant peppers like tomatoes. Do not tear apart the roots. Keep the root ball intact. Plant peppers at the same depth they were growing in the pot. Avoid deep planting. Wait until the soil is warm, ideally in the mid-60s Fahrenheit or warmer. Add gentle nutrition only. Finished compost, worm castings, and a small amount of balanced starter fertilizer are enough for most gardens. Mix everything well with the soil. Water with warm water after planting. Protect the plants from harsh sun and wind for the first few days, if needed, and be patient. When peppers are transplanted gently, they do not waste weeks recovering. They settle in faster, start growing new roots, and then move into steady growth. Let me know in the comments, have you been planting your peppers deep like tomatoes, or do you already plant them at the same level as the pot? Subscribe to the channel for more practical gardening tips. I hope your pepper plants take off strong this season, and I will see you in the next video.